Mom, I have something to tell you. I'm transgender. So how do you come out to your transphobic parents? Now before I tell you, I want to tell you a story of how I came out to my parents in 2015 when I was 19. Now way back then, I didn't really have a relationship with my dad, and it was just me and my mom, and now it's switched to just me and my dad. And my mom did not accept me in any way because I first came out as bigender and then transgender about 3 or 4 months later, of which were times that I was still extremely depressed and quite honestly recovering from being in and out of psychiatric hospitals the year before. So I was still recovering from major depression and major anxiety, as well as a few attempts. And it was something that she really didn't pay any attention to and just hoped it would go away in a month or 2 or a year. But it's been almost 11 years since that, and I've actually tracked down these emotions to about 19 years, all the way back to 2007. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, I had some of these feelings just not liking my body all the way back to age 7 or 6, back in 2001, 2002. Something probably related to dysmorphia. And then in 2007, 2008, when I was entering my teenage years, that's when the dysphoria started. I remember in 2014, a year before I came out, I remember thinking to myself, if I were to ever have to come out, I believe that my dad would be much more supportive. But by the time I came out, I wasn't speaking to him at all. And currently we're still figuring things out. He's actually very dad-like in his ways to help me feel included. And there's still a lot of things that we can't or won't talk about, but generally I'm happy with our relationship. My mom tried to blame me having very low testosterone and being XXY or Klinefelters was the reason I felt like I was trans. And my mom's mom, my grandma, believed that it was either all the antidepressants, antipsychotics I was on, and she wanted me to adjust them and see how I was feeling then. But she also believed that because I went to a very prestigious art school in Chicago for a year, that according to her, every single person that was there was either gay or trans, and that it somehow just rubbed off on me as if being gay or trans is contagious, of which we can all agree is incorrect. Anyways, getting back to your question of how you come out to your transphobic or conservative parents, there's a lot to consider here. The first thing I want to ask is how old are you? And I ask that because depending on your age, parents may decide to just kick you out, usually 16, because that's when you can start getting a job and making your own money. So the question is, are you able to make your own money? Are you able to support yourself? Are you financially sound or close to being financially sound to possibly getting your own space in your future? Now, I know what it's like to be a prisoner of your own mind and to look in the mirror and not see yourself or see something else entirely. I know what it's like to battle my own thoughts, and I've been inside of several psychiatric wards, but I was 19 and I stayed with my mother until I was 26, which was almost a year into my transition. I care about my younger trans followers who aren't old enough or are unable to transition in their state. And the most important thing is your safety. And because so many conservative parents are so against trans people, the amount of violence, physical abuse, mental abuse, not to mention sometimes sexual assault, as well as forced conversion therapy, which is still legal in 27 of the 50 states. And I'm gonna reiterate this when I say that your safety is the most important thing. If you are in a Christian household that has voted for conservatives, doesn't believe in abortion or the Me Too movement, the chances are that they will not support you coming out as trans to them. And that's just the best case scenario, that they just don't support you. Now, I have heard some conservative households being accepting, but usually it's one parent that supports them and not the other one. So pay attention to their views, pay attention to how they watch the news, and more specifically how they view other minorities, and also how they view gender equality. If those are your family's circumstances, myself and the rest of the world would very much like for you to grow up so that you don't die as a child and you actually make it to adulthood. And eventually finding your own found family through new friends and relationships, and even people in the community that are just there for you much more than your current family is. That's the unfortunate part of this, and it sucks so much. It's something you'll have to power through, but it is so much worth it being alive than dead. But I do believe that assessing every single positive and negative angle, and in hoping for the best, but preparing for the absolute worst. Because I know what it's like to go through the wrong puberty. I was having breakdowns back then, almost 20 years ago, and I had no clue what dysphoria was, but I was feeling it. I know that seeing your body change into some version of yourself that you never saw yourself as is not ideal in any way, shape, or form, but it's better than the alternative 1,000 times over. And there's a very specific reason that you see so many age 20 to 24 non-binary and trans young adults. It's because they finally got to a place where they have their own money and they have their own place and they can finally transition. Now, there are certain things you can do to make yourself more comfortable. I know that some states have a law that schools cannot tell your parents if you go by a name other than your birth name or you use different pronouns at school. And there's counselors available as well as teachers that are complete allies, that they will love you and support you. And I have heard of some teenagers doing something that's known as do-it-yourself or DIY hormones, which isn't safe in any way, shape, or form because you're not doing it under a doctor. But if they do resort to DIY, they do cover themselves a lot more and don't let their families see them indecent. One of the other ways I've seen that seems to be a very universal trans experience is what's known as a dysphoria hoodie. Now, this is mine. I got it for my 16th birthday. Actually, I haven't worn this in more than 10 years. It kind of stinks a little bit. So usually it is black or gray. Our dysphoria hoodies are very bulky, so you can't see the curves, can't see the hips as well. Usually it's longer. And I love this. It's so worn out. I need to take like a fabric shaper to it. And so having one of these and being able to cover up your curves or just kind of be comfortable in something that you don't feel as vulnerable can really help a lot. Then in my mid-20s, I had this here. It's actually more worn out than the other one. That is now just a at-home jacket. You can see kind of how worn out this is here. But if you should get anything out of this video is that if you are wanting to come out to your parents, look at every single angle of how they view things, how you believe they would treat you if you were to come out. If you believe they would abuse you, kick you out, or disown you, please wait on it for a little while. Please take care of yourself. And if you haven't already, hit that follow or subscribe button to see more of my content. Leave a comment, share, or repost. Anything to get my story and my videos out to the rest of the world. And until next time, my wonderful transgender teen eggs. Keep it casually authentic. Love, Andrea.